I think Comrade Kgalema will be able to explain exactly how it came about. Ladies and gentlemen, as a member of African National Congress, I would be wrong if I can't say something about the elections results. I wanted to use this opportunity not for public consumption, but for you as leaders of the National Union of Mineworkers. We performed badly, and we know the reasons. There is a suggestion today to say, let us call a special national elective conference. I don't think it's the right decision, because the delegates who will go to that conference will only go there to focus on one item: who to remove and replace by who. That's all. And I don't believe this movement is about the elections. My suggestion to you, leaders of the National Union of Mineworkers, is for you to go to COSATU and say, what is important is to call a special general council, which will go there to discuss few items to say, why did we perform badly? Is it because of corruption? Is it because of poor service delivery? Is it because of arrogance? And we needed to debate that in a National General Council openly and freely. Check our structures of the movement right from the top until to the bottom. I agree with the decision of the NEC to say they have to own the results, the poor results, collectively. However, the General Council needed to look at the structures where the movement went wrong. Not only the structures, even individuals, to say to comrades whom the movement deemed they are corrupt, comrade, you don't deserve to be here. We ask you to resign voluntarily. One, to those who are arrogant, to say, comrades, stop being arrogant. But if you think it would be difficult to stop it, can you please resign from this position voluntarily? Then we look at the structures where we don't deliver a good service, to say to the structures, you don't do what you are elected for, but we are going to beef you up. Comrades, a special elective conference is not going to help this movement, precisely because within less than 2 years, next year in December, we will be going for a national elective conference. So with these words, I'm saying to you, members of NUM, leaders here, what I'm saying here is for you to take it if you think it's advisable to COSATU, if you think it would help the movement, because as an individual, I'm not going to make an impact. Very soon, if it can go out of this, I will be told that I'm a counter-revolutionary. That's our language. If they can't say I'm a counter-revolutionary, they will say, it's called outside the leadership of ANC. If they can't say that, they will say, he is amongst the clever blacks. All these pronouncements are divisive. This movement today needs all of us to say enough is enough. If we can't say that, our children are going to insult our graves. I thank you.
Master of Ceremonies, Comrade James Motlante, the first President of the National Union of Mineworkers, Comrade Kgalema Motlante, former General Secretary of the National Union of Mineworkers, General Secretary of the NUM, Deputy President of the NUM, members of the National Executive Committee of the NUM, and all leaders of the NUM, I stand before you to express my humility for having been given this J.B. Marks Lifetime Achievement Award. I am humbled, I am touched, and I'd like to thank you for this generosity. I must say that I did not expect it, nor did I think it would ever happen, but to be associated with the NUM since its formation up till now is one of my most prized gift relationships. So I thank you that even as I left the NUM in 1991, when I was elected Secretary General of the ANC, you continue to welcome me with open arms, and you make me feel a part of this family. In fact, I am a part of this family, whether you like it or not. I'm a recipient, so I shouldn't be too long in speaking. I just want to mention two things that have to do with this. Comrade James Motlante spoke about politics. I am going to speak about education and mine workers. When we were organizing mine workers into the NUM, we kept on going to the mine bosses and saying to them, amongst your workers, there are many who want to go to school. There are many who do not want to end up as machine operators, as loader drivers underground, as winch drivers, and so forth and so forth. There are many who want to upgrade their education. And we suggested to them that set up scholarships within your own companies and offer scholarships to your mine workers. Identify them, find them, and send them to either technicons in those days or to universities. The answer that we got from the mining industry was no. They did not see mine workers as being people who could get higher educational qualifications, such as being a mining engineer, such as being a person who can work with say, the architecture of the underground workings of a mine, such as being a well-trained mechanic, and so forth. Also such as being a real certificated miner. They did not see their way clear. What we then thought we should do, we decided to do two things. We decided that we were going to send mine workers to Cuba for training. We identified, was it 10 or 20? We identified 20 mine workers, and we found them in the various branches of the NUM and sent them to Cuba to go and learn mining in Cuba. This followed a visit that Comrade James Motlante and I had to Cuba, and where we formed very good relationships with the workers' organization there. We sent these 20 mine workers to Cuba. They got trained in mining engineering, they got trained in metallurgy, they got trained in a number of other disciplines. And some of them are back here today with master's degrees in mining, in metallurgy, and this has happened because of the foresight of the NUM to send mine workers for training. The NUM, even those days, put the mining industry to shame. It showed them up for the bankruptcy of their vision for the future. And we argued that these mine workers know mining. All they need is to be certificated, and they just need to be properly trained so that they can work. Now, the next one was the children of mine workers. As Comrade James Motlante says, we went together to receive the Olof Palme Award after the 1987 strike, Comrade James. That's when they gave us the Olof Palme Award in Sweden. That was after the death of Olof Palme himself was assassinated. We got 30,000 kronas. And we then decided that this is not money for me, as Cyril Ramaphosa, much as the award was for me, who was General Secretary then. We decided that this is money that should go to mine workers. And we decided that we would put it in the J.B. Marks Education Trust Fund. And that is where the money went, and that was the foundation stone that we put in place to have this 1,016 graduates that we are celebrating today. I want to end by saying the NUM is one organization that has been built on a solid foundation. Solid foundation as the rock of the mines that mine workers work in. It's a union that has withstood really devastating tremors, not only in the mines, but also in terms of its own organization. This union is a strong union. It has produced good leaders. It has got good systems. Apha kwa-NUM ayikiwa imali. Ayikiwa imali, and we are very proud. We are very proud, comrades, that you are one of the unions that is not known for abusing the resources that mine workers have built up. We, as we watch from outside, are continuously proud of the fact that, one, there is no corruption that we hear about in the NUM. Even in your mine workers investment company, we continue to hear good things. We continue to hear good things about the Mine Workers Investment Trust. We continue to hear good things also about the J.B. Marks, the college. You are one of the few unions that has set up your own college. And we are very proud. When we decided that we are going to set up a college where mine workers would be educated, where they would be educated in terms of being good trade unionists, we knew what we were aiming for. And today, the NUM has all these wonderful pillars. The pillars, Comrade Spunzi, that are going to sustain this union going forward, in spite of all the challenges that you are facing at the moment. The union was built on rock, and this union is a rock. Continue to make it a rock, comrades. So, for me, I thank you. This is a very humbling moment, and I'm sorry I got a little bit emotional. I got emotional because this union has a very special history. It works in an industry that is very, very painful for this country. An industry where apartheid was baked to perfection, to oppress black people and to exploit black workers. And today, mine workers are walking proud because of the National Union of Mine Workers. Make it strong. Siyabonga.
A big congratulations once again to Dr. James Motlante and Dade Cyril Ramaphosa. Another round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very well deserved indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce our keynote speaker. And once again, with your permission, if I may, I'd like to read from his extensive profile. Mr. Kgalema Petrus Motlante was born in Alexandra Township, Johannesburg. He was elected by Parliament on the 25th September 2008 as President of the Republic of South Africa. He served until the 9th of May 2009. After his retirement as President, Mr. Motlante was appointed by President Jacob Zuma to serve as the Deputy President. He served in that position from the 11th of May 2009 until the 24th May 2014. After his release in 1987 from Robben Island, Mr. Motlante was tasked with strengthening the trade union movement in the country. To this end, he worked for the National Union of Mineworkers, NUM, as a national office bearer responsible for education. Among other things, he was involved in training mine workers to form shop stewardship committees. Mr. Motlante also served 2 5-year terms as Secretary General of the ANC from December 1997 to December 2007. Mr. Motlante was Deputy President of the African National Congress during the period December 2007 to December 2012. He was also the recipient of the 2014 JB Marks Lifetime Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome former President, Mr. Kgalema Motlante.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for your warm words of introduction. I've been in my life occasioned to listen to my obituary under the pretext of an introduction. So yours was very merciful, so I want to thank you once again. The General Secretary of the NUM and the Deputy President of the NUM and all leaders of the NUM here present, the founding leadership of the NUM, Comrade James Motlante, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, and all other veterans of the union here present. I see Comrade Director is here with us. Comrade Director Matala was one of the first members of this union. The graduandee and alumni of the JB Marks Education Trust Fund, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this kind invitation. I'm all the more thankful given this one-of-a-kind event which lends credence to the commitment of the National Union of Mineworkers, to its members, former members, and the dependents of mineworkers. This is probably the third time I stand on this platform to congratulate the alumni and graduandee of the JB Marks Education Trust Awards. With each passing year, this initiative is progressively making a great contribution to society in the only area that really accounts for why some nations and countries are more advanced than others, and that is education, because education is the best equalizer in life. And so congratulations are due also to both the Mineworkers Investment Trust as well as the Mineworkers Investment Company, both of which are partners and have made a great contribution to this initiative. While this continued partnership is happening within a single entity, the NUM itself, it nevertheless confirms the importance of the notion of partnership in whatever sphere as we continue the fight for a better life for all South Africans. I am delighted to learn that so far 1,016 Besas have benefited, having been enabled to graduate from mainstream South African tertiary institutions through this effort. And I believe there's still 750 other students in the pipeline, because as mine workers, we know that production is about the pipelines. When you are mining at a particular phase, where the important area of focus is creating new tunnels that lead to better ore body in the course of time. Because if you understand mining in simple terms, it means the more you take out of the pot, the less remains in there. And so if the mines are not ground to a halt, there's need to always and all the time be creating new tunnels, investing and recapitalizing in order to be able to produce more. And so I'm glad to hear that there's 750 students in the pipeline. So in next year, there will be another batch of graduates coming through. And so I'm also informed that this evening, at this very event, 92 graduates from the class of 2015 will be receiving their medals and certificates, with 13 awards handed out in different categories of excellence. It is well known that the historical figure after whom this trust is named was among the greatest souls that ever came out of our country. J.B. Marx, popularly known as Uncle J.B., formed and led the African Mine Workers Union in 1930. He became the president, and J.J. Majoro was the general secretary of that union. And it was that union which, in the 30s, gave office space to the Communist Party of South Africa. Not the South African Communist Party, but the Communist Party of South Africa. And so, as history has it, in 1990, when the African National Congress was unbanned together with the South African Communist Party, it was the National Union of Mineworkers which provided office space to the South African Communist Party. So in the 30s, it was the African Mine Workers Union which provided office space to the Communist Party of South Africa. In the 1990s, it was the National Union of Mineworkers which provided space, office space, to the South African Communist Party. I'm saying this because it points to a very strong bond between the mine workers and the Communist Party, which goes back that long. And of course, it was in the early 90s that Walter Sisulu introduced us to the former treasurer of the African Mine Workers Union, James Nkwentra, who was really at an advanced age. As you can imagine, he was Treasurer General of the African Mine Workers Union during the great 1946 mine workers strike. And so, having been introduced to him, the union then established a very strong bond with him, because the NUM always sought to draw inspiration from the African Mine Workers Union, which is regarded as its predecessor in organizing African mine workers. And so James Nkwentla became an associate mine worker, an associate member of the NUM, and therefore was always invited to attend all the conferences of the NUM until he passed on from this world. And of course, the NUM took responsibility for giving him a send-off befitting of a leader of mine workers. And so J.B. Marx, as a towering leader of our people, Nelson Mandela was known to disrupt meetings of the Communist Party in those days. And he himself used to tell lovely stories about how he tried to get into debates with J.B. Marx and discovered that he really knew very little about politics. And so eventually he had to humble himself and learn at the hands of this wonderful giant of a leader. J.B. Marx was a teacher by profession. He qualified as a teacher and lived in Tlokwe, Potchefstroom, in the northwest. And as a very courageous leader of our people, challenged the powers that be at that time, and was almost assassinated, was killed, he was shot at whilst addressing a public meeting, but survived that. And he went on to remain at the helm of our movement, even after it had been banned. He was one of those who participated in the consultative conference of 1962 to develop a way forward in Botswana, Lobatse, and continued to be active in the movement in Tanzania, directing the activities of the movement. They, together with Moses Kotane and Oliver Tambo, they were able to keep the movement together under very trying conditions of exile when many other organizations were falling apart. And so one day we were at the NUM offices, and this is a very small world, because the people who, in a sense, were involved in the establishment of the J.B. Marx Trust, as well as giving this name of J.B. Marx. The suggestions came from Bill Jardine. Bill Jardine happens to be the father to Roger Jardine, who is today the CEO of Prime Media. And Prime Media is one of mixed subsidiary companies. So Bill Jardine came to the office and said, look, man, he had a very keen interest in sports, and suggested to us that, look, man, why doesn't the NUM sponsor a trophy that can be competed for by football teams? And so we said, well, that sounds like a good suggestion, but we have to take it to the leadership of the NUM, the National Executive Committee, to consider it. And upon reflection, it was felt that J.B. Marx was too important a leader for his name to be attached to a trophy that football teams will compete for, because football fans and supporters can get very nasty at certain times. And so we felt that it may not be appropriate to attach this good name of J.B. Marx to a trophy. And we ask questions like, what happens if there are, disputes? The disputes would then drag this good name of J.B. Marx in the mud. And so it was at that point that the leadership of the NUM decided, no, the best way to honor the towering memory of this giant of our people is to name an education trust fund after JB. And that's where the name came from. Taking, of course, into account also the historical connections that he was a leader of the mine workers in the very early days. And so I'm very happy today that, the union and the trust, is today honoring both James Motlante and Cyril Ramaphosa, because these two comrades, because they are here, I can speak about them. And because I know they are humble to a point of, effacing themselves and never really want to take credit for their contribution. But I think I have the license this evening to embarrass them. So I'm going to embarrass them by stating precisely their massive contribution in the birth of the National Union of Mineworkers. Cyril Ramaphosa was employed as a legal officer by CUSA. CUSA was a trade union federation before the birth of COSATU and so on. And so the task that was given to him was that he must go and organize mine workers. Now, the problem was that mine workers up to that time had actually had nasty experiences of being duped by township slickers who came and sold them dummy insurance policies and all kinds of things, burial policies. And so they pay premiums, and after a while when they try to visit the office of this burial or insurance company, they get there, it's an empty lot at the corner. There's not even a building there. And so they were very suspicious of the township slickers. Anybody who came from the townships, they treated with a bit of caution. And so Cyril, and of course there had been other people before that effort to go, who went into the mines trying to organize and so on. And mine workers were not prepared to even give them audience. And so Cyril then got in touch with James Motlante. Now, James Motlante today heads Teba Bank. And people think that he's a newcomer in the world of business. James Motlante, even as a mine worker, was already an established businessman. He had established an extensive network across the mine compounds. He was selling blankets. And so his method, you see, was very innovative, because he established this network, had a presence in every mine compound, and would drive there, dump bales of blankets, so that his salespersons could sell them to the mine workers, and then he would come around as he replenished the stock, he collects the money. So he was an accomplished businessman. And so one of the first vehicles that were used to organize mine workers was James Motlante's personal car. Of course, it was run to the ground because now the township slickers were organizers as well. And then, of course, the two of them combined to then, recruit mine workers. And that's why NUM had such a phenomenal growth as a new union, because it was built on this network of, for selling blankets. So what I'm really saying is that I can think of any other more deserving comrades for this award than these two comrades who are in our midst this evening. And so education is very, very important. To the alumni, I would like to say to you that the intention of this Education Trust Fund was not to issue loans to the dependents of mine workers, but to give you bursaries, and that you grow up to become better citizens, better and more successful human beings, because your fathers had to toil under very difficult circumstances, and so you deserve far much better. And we hope that at some point the trust fund would be able to sponsor even postgraduate studies up to PhD level, so that you can then embark and excel in research, researching solutions to problems that affect our people. And with those words, I want to say to you that you cannot give unless you are prepared to sacrifice. You can't give unless you are prepared to sacrifice. Those who were able to give to others by way of sacrificing their valuable time to organize this union and make sure that it's a formidable, redoubtable opponent to deal with, had to sacrifice, had to give their valuable time and even their valuable lives, because some people got killed in the process. Those days, each mine had its own private army, not security, private army. And so whenever mine workers were to embark on action, they would be forced at gunpoint to go underground at the mines. And I recall that during the 1987 mine workers strike, there were many of them who, in trying to scale over the perimeter fences in the mines, end up on the other side with a broken leg or arm or shoulder, and thanks to SAMDA that gave support during that period of the mine workers strike. But of course, the important point also is solidarity. Solidarity, the union was founded on the solid foundation of solidarity. It makes sure that it looks after its own, and each member can actually look forward to solidarity from fellow members. And I can't think of a more better example than the story of Mutsamai. Mutsamai was a mine worker who got dismissed in the aftermath of a strike, and for 2 solid years was unemployed, traversing the length and breadth of this country, trying to find a job in another mine. And 2 years he was unemployed. Eventually, he got employed in a small mine in Limpopo province. And when he got there, within the first month, he discovered that all other fellow miners were all new, had just been recently employed like him. And when he tried to dig deeper, he discovered that no, in fact, the workforce had been dismissed in its entirety. So everybody else was new, and they were replacing workers who had been dismissed, but whose case was still to go through the labor court. And Mutamai being Mutamai, then mobilized his colleagues. Remember, these are people who were just employed like a month ago. So he mobilized them and informed them that, look, you know, we are holding on to jobs of other workers. We were employed here because people had been dismissed. So why don't we mobilize and go out on action and demand that those workers must be reinstated? Now, if those workers were to be reinstated, it meant they would lose their jobs and be unemployed once again. That's the spirit of solidarity I'm talking about. Yes. That, you know, you can't give unless you sacrifice. So it is that spirit that we hope will find roots among the alumni of the J.B. Marks Trust, because this world can only be a better place if there is, you know, a spirit of solidarity. If we understand that you are because we are, as we say in Sesotho, umutu gabantu. So as an individual alone, even as a professional, you will be miserable if you are not part of a community that you know, gives you fulfillment, not only through material you know, gifts and so on, but they give you fulfillment because you are an invaluable member of a community. And so as I conclude, once again, I want to stress that investing in education is the best gift that any formation can give to posterity, to the young people, because tomorrow belongs to them. And ours is really to ensure that they will face tomorrow well armed with the skills and education to understand the world we live in much, much better, and therefore be able to create conditions for the development of humanity as a whole. And so to the graduandee, I say to you congratulations and best wishes, and more power to your elbow. Because if you have power in your elbow, you do more. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank
That
you
was
so much.
Former President Kgalema Motlante addressing the National Union of Mineworkers event. All about education. What's happening tonight is that bursary members, it's a graduation ceremony for them. Earlier we heard from the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. And of course the ANC and leaders have been involved in a lot of introspection in recent days, some criticism, but tonight the focus all on mining and education from both those leaders. Let's recap tonight.
Of course. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask my good friend Kabo Mook to come and serenade us while we enjoy our main course. Bon appetit.
all you do was